Hello guys, welcome to the next video tutorial on C programming for beginners, and in this video we will see what is an array and how to use array in C. So what is an array? Array is a variable which can contain more than one values of same data type. So for example, you want to store similar data in a variable, you can do it with the help of an array. So for example, you want to store scores of a student or ages of persons or names of any person or any number of persons. You can do it using an array using a single variable. Now how to declare an array in C? It's like same as declaring variables. So first is the data type, what kind of data you want to store in your array, and then the name of your array. So for example, my number array, right? And then this square bracket. This square bracket tells C that it's an array, and whatever number you insert inside this square bracket, for example 3, this is the number of element you can store inside an array, right? So for example, we have written 3 here. We can store 3 numbers in an array. Now whenever you declare an array, you can initialize it by equal to sign, and in this curly braces you can give the values to your array. For example, the values can be 20, 30 and 60, for example, right? So I have stored 3 values because here you can see I have defined that this array can contain 3 values, therefore I can assign 3 values to my array. If it would be 4, then I can add one more value, for example 55, to my array, okay, and so on. If it be 5, it will be 5, I can add 5 values here, okay. So for example, I have 3 values right now, so I can store 3 values, okay. Now you can ask, how can I access the value of an array, okay. And there is something called index of an array, and the index of an array is a position at which any value is placed. So the index of 20 here is 0. So index of an array starts from 0, not from 1. So always remember that index of an array starts from 0, and at the 0th index we have the value 20 here, and at the first index we have the value 30, and at the second index we have the value 60, okay. So index starts from 0, 1, 2. Now to access the value of an array, what you can do is you can just write print f, or for example I want to access the value of an array. I can just name a variable access array, for example, is equal to, for example, I want to store second value of an array inside this variable, okay. So I can just copy the name of an array, and then in the square bracket the index of the array whose value we want to store. For example, we want to store 30. The index of the 30 is 0, 1, right? So we will write 1 here, okay. So now the value 30 from array will be stored inside this access array variable, right? And then we can print this value, print f, and then we can just write value is equal to percentage d, small d, and then we will change the line so that it will be printed at the next line whenever we use the next printf, right? So now we will see that this will print 30 because we have assigned 30, which is at index 1 of this array, right? We will just run this program and it prints 30, which is totally fine. In a similar way, you can define any character array or any double array also, but always remember that an array, for example char array, and we want to store 3 characters inside this array. So for example, I will write 3, or I want to store 4 characters inside this array, and then in the curly braces I can store these 4 characters. For example, first character, second character, third and fourth, and then this contains A, comma, this contains B, comma, this contains C, comma, this contains D. Okay, so this is a character array. You can define a float array or string array or any other kind of array, but always remember that the data type of array, so if you have declared an integer array, it can only contain integer values. If you have declared character array, it can only it can only have character values, right? If you have float array, it can only have float values. Okay, now for example, you want to print all the values of your array. So for example, your array contains 6 values, and I can just extend my array like this. So now it contains 6 value, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and the index of these value is 0 1 2 3 4 5, right? So now for example, I want to print all the values of an array. I can use for loop for that, and I can just write int I is equal to 0, and then my condition comes I is less than the index of an array, so or size of an array. So the size of an array is 6 in my case, so I will write I should be less than 6, and then I plus plus, and then I can print the value of these arrays. For example, I will just print this, and I can write element, and then I can write percentage %d here and percentage %d, and I will just print the value of I, and comma, I will just print the index 1 by 1. So I will just write the name of my array and then I. Okay, why I have written I? Because I will be increased in the for loop. First, the value of I is equal to 0, so it will print 20. Then it will increase the value of I by 1, which is 1, so array at index 1 is 30. Okay, value of array at index 1 is 30. Now once again the value of I becomes 2, so the value of I at index 2 is 60, so it will print all the values in the array 1 by 1 at the specific index. So I will just run this program, and you can see it prints the value. So the element 0 is 20, which is true. Element 1 is 30, which is true. Element 2 is 60, which is here. Element 3 is 50, 4 is 55, and 5th is 30. So index starts from 0 to 5. Okay, so it prints all the values in an array like this. Okay, now for example, you want to change any value in the array. For example, you are not happy with this 30 in an array, and you want to change the value of this 30 to 45, for example. So you can change it like this. So the index of this value 30 is 0 1. Okay, so what you can do is you can just copy this value from here. I will just delete all the other things right now so that it will be simpler to see. So just copy the name of your array and then the index of the value you want to change. So the index of value I want to change is 1 0 1, right, is equal to, I want to change it to the value 45, right. So this will change the value at index 1 of this array, which is 30 to 45. Okay, and we will verify it by this for loop and printing the value. I will compile the program and run this, and you can see the value at index 0 is 20, value at index 1 is 45 here, which was 30 earlier, but we have changed it to 45, right. So you can change the value of an array like this. Okay, so this kind of array which has which can contain uh, some or one or more than one variable or values is called single dimensional array, right. In C there can be multi-dimensional array also, which I will teach you in the next videos, but this is single dimensional array in C and how you can array in C. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now.